Hello, everybody. It is Saturday, the day before Easter 2025. It recently occurred to me that I should republish some interviews that I had done with the one and only DJ Sherry B back in autumn of 2015 before she passed away in early 2016. This interview of the one and only Eric Marienthal, from Chick Corea fame to the Jeff Lorber Fusion, and he also plays with Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band. Great big band sound. He's really kind of the star of the show. I mean, there are other soloists, but Eric is arguably the most recognizable name in the band, and he really does shine in it. But like I say, he's also just all over the place doing all kinds of things, doing his own stuff, and he's such a stellar player. I mean, he really has a command of his instrument that is arguably unrivaled. I think he's just a phenomenal player. He really graced us with a bunch of a cappella sax. Anyway, I found this and I'm kind of re-editing it for your viewing pleasure. Be sure and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. It helps me a lot. So check it out.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us in the Jazz Lounge. I am your host, DJ Sherry B, and my esteemed co-host, Jas Miller, is here. Good morning, Jas.
Good morning to you all.
How are you, my friend?
I'm ready for Valentine's Day.
I know, right? You're a little bit ahead of the game for
Happy Halloween. That's
okay.
what we're talking about. It's chocolate season.
We'll take it. As you can see by the title, everyone, I have the amazing saxophonist, Eric Marienthal, in the Jazz Lounge. Thank you for joining us, Eric. Welcome.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
It is so nice to meet you. I can't even begin to tell you. Okay, you got to give me a moment to be a fan. Just for a moment, okay? It's like, I have Eric Marienthal here, everybody.
10 seconds. Go. Three. Wake up.
Oh, okay, now back to business. But no, I truly appreciate you being here. I know your schedule is so busy. It's about to become busy. I was looking at your tour dates coming up, and we'll get into that in a minute. DJ Hot Mess Fangirl, yes, welcome to the room. And first of all, thank you for being here, Eric. I truly appreciate it. I've always wanted to interview you. I told you that on Friday when I called you. So it really means a lot to me that you have time to be here today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So first of all, I want to ask you, this is going to be so off the cuff. How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet tall.
6 feet tall? You see, I was looking at pictures and I'm like, man, he's tall.
It's his stature.
Yeah, you're tall. You're a tall man.
Well, good. You know,
now
far worse. You could have said, "Wow, you're way shorter." Man,
no,
I have no idea.
Not at all. Not at all. So now, what did you do this weekend? What was going on for you this weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, really good weekend actually. What did happen this weekend? Oh, well, Friday night, I played at Spaghettini here in Newport Beach, California.
Mm-hmm.
And for the new record that I just put out with Chuck Loeb called Bridges. Chuck lives in New York and I live here in Orange County, California. So getting together, although we're doing it, but it's not like we can, especially club gigs, we can't just say, hey, let's play somewhere Friday night,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we played this past Friday, and the record is primarily I wouldn't say it's a duet record. It was originally going to be really a duet record,
mm-hmm.
and we fleshed it out, and so John Petitucci plays bass on about 7 tunes, as it turns out, acoustic bass. There's no keyboards on the record. It's not a groove record. It's a very different kind of a deal. But anyway, so we decided for the first time to play about half the record. We're starting a tour in Asia in December, so it was a good kind of warm up to see which tunes really would work. But we played about half the record, which is quite a lot to play 5 tunes off of one record for the debut. Is adventurous actually, and it was cool. It went really well, especially like I say, a lot of the record was done. The whole record was done without keyboards, and so it required a lot of layering on the guitar and on the songs that are again have a little bit more, a little more production. I hate to say production because it's not a super produced record, but anyway, it took some doing to figure out how we were going to approach it, and we did, and it worked. So
cool.
Well, I know I've been to Spaghettini quite a few times, and so I just think that's a great venue to perform. How do you like performing at Spaghettini? What is it about Spaghettini that artists really love?
Well, for me, that's my home base for sure. I love it. Years ago, actually, I did a show there every Saturday morning called Saturday Afternoon Live, where it was, I had my band, and each week we would have a different guest artist, and then I would interview them on the radio twice during, before at the intermission of the show, and then at the beginning of the show as well. And it was done at Spaghettini, so it was Terry Hardwick's idea. So we did that for a long time, maybe 4 or 5 years, and so I got to know Carrie super, super well, the owner and one of the owners, and super great guy. I mean, it was amazing. Usually you come across people who are in the business of a restaurant and trying to make it work as a music venue, and understandably they're thinking about the bottom line. And, he was really much more about the quality. He was concerned about money, obviously, but that wasn't the priority. The priority was really about the quality of the show, the quality of the music, the quality of the presentation to the audience, and also how well things were working for the musicians as well. Because obviously, the better the musicians feel, the better the overall performance is going to be.
I have to agree with you because just Spaghettini on its own is quality. You walk in and you feel it. The staff, is just so attentive, and the food is really well. And so the quality of the artists that they choose to come perform there is just stellar. So I agree with you 100% on that. So now so we're going to jump ahead a little bit because you were saying, you're going to be touring Asia in December, and I was looking at your tour dates, and it's like, I don't even think you're going to be home the whole month of December. How are you planning on doing that?
I've been doing this for a while. I don't know. Every year, your calendar is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, and the way sometimes things work out really easily, where you're gone a little bit, you get to come home for a few days, you're gone a little bit, and you come back, and sometimes it doesn't work that way. Last year, I was gone. I had like 4 or 5 trips back to back, where I was gone for 7 weeks straight, all overseas. And it's kind of strange how things, how is it that this tour could happen during these 2 weeks, and then this tour could be called for something for this week, and then suddenly something comes in that can fit right in the middle.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen that way very often. But it's not just my group. I'm a soloist, and so I play with different people or orchestras or bands or whatever around the world, and sometimes, by the grace of God, they work out, and then I find myself gone.
Well, sometimes the pieces of the puzzle all just fit together very well. DJ Hot Mess over in the comments, she says, "How about Spogs 2.0 in Beverly Hills? Have you ever performed there?"
I have, yes. It was a while ago. It was last December.
Okay, that must have been like right after it opened or something. Because
it was not long after it opened. I think maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, because it's just coming up on, I kind of remember that. I remember that. So everyone here in the room, good morning. Thank you for joining us here. We have the amazing Eric Marienthal. If everyone could tell a little bird right now and get it out on the Twitter feed, we would really appreciate that here in the Jazz Lounge. And so while they're doing that, Eric, so now you just finished Spaghettini, so but you have some other tour dates coming up for the month of October later this month, correct?
Let's see. Tomorrow I go up to Hayward, California, and I'm a guest soloist with their college jazz band. So I do that a fair amount, actually, quite a lot, and it's always a lot of fun. I do a master class and rehearsal with the band, and then we perform, and it's a lot of fun.
I think that's really neat that you pay it forward, go and teach students and help them and everything. And, again, on your website, you give free lessons too.
Well, actually, now I've started there's an online school called, and the website is called ArtistWorks. And so artistworks.com.
Ta-da! There we go. Up a little closer to the camera so everyone can get a good look at that.
ArtistWorks.
There we go. There we go. Okay. We need to put that in the comment section. What's the website again, Eric?
ArtistWorks. I got it.
Artistworks.com.
Okay. We'll put that in the comment section. Excellent. I love that picture.
There's that one on the other side, too.
Oh, there we go. Artistworks.com. Okay.
And it's great. The way it works is that people subscribe to the site, and either for a month or 3 months or a year, and it's really inexpensive. But when you subscribe, I filmed over 130 lessons on all different levels, from how to put the saxophone together to playing giant steps. I mean, just everything I could possibly come up with over writing the curriculum for about 6 months.
Wow.
And so when you sign up, you can watch any of the lessons. There's a bunch of PDFs that go with the lessons of all kinds of songs and exercises, and along with play along tracks. Probably 50, 60 play alongs, and then also I post new lessons twice a week. For the week I call it, and the exercises of the week, all kinds of things. And then there's a blog, and there's a forum, and there's a shout out, and very interactive.
It's a whole production.
The important thing about it is that it's all based on video exchanges, where people, like a student, will video themselves like this, playing one of the lessons or anything, and then I send them a video response, and it's all posted on the site so everybody can see both theirs and mine, and that's how it stays active. As opposed, it's not it's not a stagnant thing where you sign up and all these like lessons that are just there. It's and it's busy. It just launched about 5 weeks ago, but it's
so this is brand new. This is your new baby.
Yeah. Well, there are Chuck Loeb is a jazz guitar instructor. There's about 30 schools, and there are some classical schools, and Nathan East, the great bass player from Berklee, has the bass, one of the electric bass schools, and John Petitucci. So it's an extensive thing. I'm really, really very excited about it.
Oh, you should be. It sounds great. I just appreciate you doing something like that and reaching out to, younger artists or even older people who always wanted to learn how to play. So I appreciate that. So now we're going to get into the birthday bash because I know you've performed there many, many times. And give us your perspective of performing at the birthday bash. What do you get out of it?
It is fun. It's been a few years. It's always a tricky weekend, the end of May, because just touring. So obviously you've got to not be touring in order to be at the bash. But it's so much fun. Number one, you're supporting a station like KSBR that's been so incredibly listener supported, and because of that, the playlist is much more flexible than you would get on other stations, and so that station has done so much good for so many musicians that everybody is more than willing to come down and support such a great entity. From a musician standpoint, it's always fun. For the same reason that any festival is fun, when you get to see other musicians, and I've been doing this for 35 years, so I know a lot of different musicians, and so that's how we see each other is on gigs.
Sure. Well, what I thought was very impressive, and I ask other artists this: who have you not performed with that you want to, and always wanted to? But I was looking at the list of people that you have performed with, and you've already performed with a lot of them. So I don't even know who's left. I saw Stevie Wonder on stage with you. Al Jarreau, and it's like, is there anyone left that you haven't performed with that is still on your bucket list?
Yeah, there are tons. The Stevie Wonder story is amazing, because the picture I'm sure you're thinking of that you may have seen online was at the Catalina's Jazz Club, and it was with Chick Corea, the Chick Corea Electric Band, and between shows we're backstage, and Chick says to us, he says, I've got, and he has this kind of unusual kind of a giddiness to him. that was very we're thinking, what the hell's wrong with this guy? What's going on? And he said, we've got somebody coming in who may sit in. And we thought, oh, great, we have a lot of friends as a band that people, like Ken Garrett or whoever, who sit in, somewhat regularly. And so we go up, start playing, and see the front door, and the front door opens, and there's an entourage of about 10 people. Oh, and then there's a table that had been reserved. The club had been sold out, 6 nights, 2 shows a night, every show sold out, 12 shows. Right? But there's one giant table in the middle that was empty and reserved. And we thought, wow, who in the world has this? Well, who has the clout to hold this table, And so as the entourage walks closer and closer to the table and closer to the stage, one by one we said, no, it can't be, and it was Stevie Wonder. And so he listens to like 3 or 4 tunes, and it's an interesting experience to play with Stevie Wonder 10 feet in front of you, in a club, And then Chick announced, it was pretty clear to the audience. It was a club. It wasn't like, he was sitting in the back row of the Hollywood Bowl. And he announced him, and Stevie came up and sat in. And he had his harmonica and sang, and it was, it was just one of those crazy magic moments.
Yeah, it's one of those surreal moments. It's just like, really?
Yeah.
Is this really happening? That's great. That's great. But I mean, the list of people that you performed with is just amazing. What you performed with Phil Perry.
A bunch of times.
He's one of my favorites. I just think he's got like a silky smooth voice. There's just something about him that. So, any other plans of performing with him anytime soon?
No, I mean, nothing that I have on the books at the moment, but things change all the time. Mm-hmm. But he's done. Well, I first worked with Phil in Lee Wittenauer's band, where Lee would, mm-hmm. A singer. He's had various people out, mm-hmm. But Phil's done, I do a benefit, the High Hopes.
A High Hopes
benefit every year for the past 17 years, and Phil's been one of the guest artists at least twice. I'm thinking maybe 3 times.
Well, let's talk about your High Hopes. For those who may not know what High Hopes is, it's a foundation that you support 110,000%. And everyone in the room, Eric, you just go ahead and and share what High Hopes is with everyone here in the lounge.
Sure, yeah. High Hopes is an organization in Tustin, California, that helps people who have suffered traumatic brain injuries. And for the past, I think they were established, if I'm not mistaken, in 1975. Because this was the 40th year, right? Mm-hmm. They, a lot of times when people are head injured because of a car accident, motorcycle accident, bicycle accident, their insurance has a cap in most cases. Mm-hmm. And so, after the insurance runs out, what do you do? And a head injury can be anything. I know more about it than I but it can be anything from like a very, barely perceptible behavioral issue mm-hmm. to like obviously, very, very major obvious disability. So they, it's a large facility. It's not, rather it's what do you say outpatient, but every day, 4 days a week, students I should say, come to the facility, and they have everything from cognitive rehabilitation to physical rehabilitation, all kinds of. The facility is gigantic. I don't know how many square feet, 3,000 or 4,000 square feet of all these, just all kinds of different ways to help people regain the abilities that they have lost, and quite a large staff, and they're obviously. It takes money to run it. It's a nonprofit, and mm-hmm. And so there's a fee. But I think Mark, the director, told me that there's actually only one person who's able to pay the entire fee because they were injured at work and they had quite a large workman's comp, insurance. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the money that we raise at the concert goes towards helping with what we call scholarships, helping people pay for the service. And again, they've got a staff of easily 30 people. They've got this huge facility and all the amazing, pieces of machinery. So I think in the 17 years that these concerts have been going on, we've been able to raise about $1.5 million for High Hopes. So.
That's great. That's great. I know you put on a benefit concert at the Hyatt in Newport Beach, and you have a stellar lineup. And I remember a couple of years ago, it's like I don't know, it was just unbelievable the lineup that you had, and that's what I love about you artists. It's like, we know you guys have a heart, but you guys come together. You'll cut in the middle of your tour or something, and you'll come and perform, for a great cause and everything. And so I just appreciate you doing that. And the artists that you get, they come, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, what's the challenge of it is that it is all volunteer based. I give, I should say, give an expense honorarium to guys. So they've got to fly in, we'll buy them a flight. They need a hotel, obviously. Those kinds of things. But and that can be, to fly in from New York, say, or whatever. And most of the performers won't even take their honorarium checks. And actually, Johnny Mathis has done it, has been our guest twice over the last years. And, Johnny Mathis, pretty big ticket guy, that guy.
Big guy, yeah.
And he, not only would he not take any expense, he wouldn't take a fee, wouldn't take any expense money. We actually said, well, can we get you a limo? Can we give you a ride? He said, no, it's okay. My assistant will drive me down there, So that's been, among all the great things that have come from the experience of doing it over all these years. It's just been so great to see the generosity of so many people when it comes to a worthy cause. Usually, this is our business and we're about business. We're, hey, it's not a hobby. But when it's obviously for an event, man, all these musicians, I'm talking a lot of people over, 17 years, just bent over backwards. Peter White, flew, he's done it 4 or 5 times. And man, he almost most of the time he's flying in from somewhere the night before, because we always do it on a Sunday, and, not going home, just going to the concert and paying the extra money. We offer them the money to get there, to take a separate flight. It's just, it's been really gratifying.
Well, I'm glad that it all works out for all involved, for a great cause, So now let's get back to your Bridges CD. Okay. And
that one right there?
Yeah, everyone take a look. There we go. All nice and pretty.
That's Chuck Loeb.
Chuck Loeb, everyone. That's titled Bridges.
Nice.
Check it out. Ooh, it's open.
Beautiful.
Look at that. What pier is that? Where'd you take that picture?
That's in Bolsa Chica.
Bolsa Chica. Okay. Okay.
It's the bird sanctuary there. Mm-hmm. And my son, we were trying to find a cool bridge to. My wife found this bridge. That's actually inside a bridge in Newport Beach.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so we love this picture. So we chose that one.
I think that's great.
But this is a bridge in that bird sanctuary, and it was freezing cold, and so we didn't take many pictures there because we said
it's like, hurry up, it's cold out here.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty blue you chose too. I love that shade.
Oh, thank you.
That's very soothing. I like that. So give us the idea behind Bridges. What brought all this together? Give us the backstory.
It was my idea. Oh. Don't let Chuck Loeb tell you.
Don't let Chuck tell us anything.
My idea.
Well, I was
just invited him to play.
No, there we go. Right there.
Now I'm recording this, so if I get Chick in here, I'm gonna show him this.
Chuck.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chuck. I get him in. I'm gonna show him this.
Oh, really? I mean, that one, yeah.
I was just listening to the two of you on In a Sentimental Mood from your It's Love CD, and the two of you together are just amazing. Matter of fact, I was just watching the Spaghettini YouTube video where you two played that live. You two were brilliant together. It's wonderful. Is that was that kind of the inception, or have you and Chuck worked together a lot in the past?
Yeah, we worked a whole ton. He's one of my best friends, and we all worked a ton traveled a whole ton over the years. Yeah, and he produced the It's Love record.
Oh, really? I
And,
didn't realize
yeah, and so I, these days, I think it's really important to try new things. The radio's changed so much, the whole landscape of music and jazz music, and there's just no reason to stick to a particular format because you think you're going to sell more records or you're going to get more airplay or all that. It's not about that anymore. It's about making good music and music that you believe in, certainly. But I think more is kind of a matter of doing what you want to do, and it's not like do what you want to do and critics be damned. I mean, you still want to, people listen to your music and you want to make music that you think people are going to enjoy. But people are not. I've learned this is my 14th record, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that people won't. If you don't enjoy making music, making the music that you're recording, other people won't enjoy it either. People ask me all the time, why is Kenny G so successful? What is it? I mean, seemingly it's like so simple, and people say, well, I could do that if I wanted to, but I want to make it, oh, really? Well,
Then do it.
Then do it, exactly.
Yeah.
But my answer is that, well, because Kenny G really believes in what he does. I have no problem. I like Kenny G. I mean, he's a friend. I like him personally, obviously, but the answer is that it's really honest, and it's really coming from him. He's not like putting it on, and that translates, and that's why I think he's successful. And so I think any music. I mean, music is art, and art is subjective, and so just because you like it doesn't mean everybody's going to like it. But I think if you're not sincere in what you do, then you're doomed to start with. And with this record, I actually called Chuck and said, "Hey, what do you think about making a duet record?" That was my original thing. Oh. And he said, "Man, let's do it. And so as we started thinking more and more about the record and as tunes came up, we realized that, well, just a straight guitar sax record with nothing else, number one, would be difficult because, being the guitar player, you have to somebody's got to play the chords. Mm-hmm. And then that means that he's going to play all the chords and I'm going to play all the melodies and solos. That wouldn't be right either. So we fleshed out, some of the tunes are just guitar and saxophone. Some are layered guitars with sax. Some are layered saxophones and woodwinds with guitar. Mm-hmm. And then some we used drums and bass on as well. But the whole record was really about doing something really different. There's no keyboards on the record whatsoever. Wow. There's no it's not a groove record. It's not like it's not your typical smooth jazz record. But we're very psyched about it. It's actually doing well. It's actually one of the radio tune which we never intended. We just weren't. It wasn't on the radar really about. Okay, we got to get a single. We got to have a single. One of the tunes actually is doing quite well on the radio right now. And so it's great. It's really fun. We're just so proud of this record that it's I send it to a lot of my friends where I'm proud of all my records, but this one is just special, and it's.
And so this is the only duet that you've done with Chuck. Is just this? I mean, just the whole CD. That's it. That's the only time that you guys have ever done a duet together.
The only time we've ever done a collaboration record.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually it's called Eric Marienthal and Chuck Loeb.
There you go.
Bridges is the name of the CD.
That's
but yeah, it's really fun because also it wasn't just somebody whose music I love and would be fun to work together, but Chuck and I have been on 1,000 tours together, and we're buddies, and we talk every day, and it's so cool to have a record. It's like you don't get to do that very often.
Well, like you said, he's a real good friend. He's like a best friend, and so now you guys made a whole CD together. So that's cool.
He's way older than I am.
Oh, is he really? Okay.
That's clear. Way older.
Some way. That's why it comes into the camera, everyone. I got to get Chuck in here. I got to get him in here now. Because you know what he said about you?
Yeah. So when you ask him about that, say, Chuck, how you doing, Chuck?
Can you hear me? Is this on?
Yeah.
So now, take us back. So what made you choose the saxophone out of all instruments to play? Why the saxophone?
it wasn't a choice that was really an intelligent one. You know, when I started when I was like, 9 years old in fourth grade, and a few of my buddies and I were, the district teacher came along and said, "Hey, who wants to join beginning band?" And she brought all these instruments along, and I forget exactly. I know that I wanted to play trumpet. I know that originally I wanted to play the trumpet,
Okay.
and that so I said, and I pointed at the trumpet. I said, "Oh yeah, that one. I'm gonna play that one." And the girl, the teacher, asked me if I was going to be getting braces, and I said, "Well, yeah, I am." She said, "Well, yeah, don't play the trumpet. That's going to be a bloody mess. You're going to have to do that." And so my friends and I saw an alto saxophone on the table, and so we said, "Oh, well, that one looks pretty cool. We'll play that." Not we had no idea what it sounded like, how to play, what was involved. It just, it looked good.
Wow.
So I started playing saxophone because it looked cool.
and braces.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's like, yeah, that's what won me over. It was the look.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it serves you well. You love it. You like it. Now, when I clicked on your webpage, what's the song that plays automatically when it comes on?
Actually, it's one that Jazz is talking about. It's In a Sentimental Mood. Unless it's being changed now. My site is in the process of being updated. So soon it's going to be something from this record. But it's In a Sentimental Mood.
I love that. I haven't heard that, and I don't know why that escapes me. I haven't heard that. That's the first time. So, good choice. I like it. Not that you need my approval or anything, but I mean, I like that. I was like, ooh, that's nice. So now, do you have your saxophone near you?
It's never too far away. Yeah, I've got it. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, it's around here somewhere.
Well, you mind just playing a little something? Just a little something.
Yeah. Here, let me. Okay,
yeah. There we go.
Okay, so
excellent.
That poster right there, by the way.
The one on the wall right there.
Yeah, can't really see it, but it's a poster from college with my band in 1979. Wow. And a friend of mine found it. We lived together we had an apartment, and somehow it ended up in his stuff, and he framed it and just gave it to me like a month ago.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. We like friends like that.
I know. Okay, so let me go get my horn here.
Okay. Listen, everyone in the Jazz Lounge, you never know what's going to happen. Eric Marienthal is going to play live for us right now. And
you never know what's going to happen because I haven't played first.
It's going to sound great. It's going to sound great. Let me change the title here, and we can get everyone to tweet this out. So we let everybody know, get over here because you're playing live for us.
Yes, it's going to sound beautiful on my laptop microphone.
It's going to sound amazing. Sure. Everyone right now, go ahead and hit Tell a Little Bird. Let everyone know that Eric Marienthal is about to play live for us right now. You have the lounge, my dear. Wow.
Stone cold.
That
music.
sounded so good. Oh man, you got a good microphone on your laptop. No,
Quiet. That's the secret.
that was so nice.
Thank
That
you.
was very, very smooth. What was that?
That was my one and only love. At least half of it, anyway.
Oh, look at you. See that over in the comment section, Eric?
No.
Over in your right side, over in the comment section. They took a picture of you playing.
Oh, yeah.
They took a picture of you playing.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that great?
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a video.
Mm-hmm. Just
Oh,
a little
right.
screenshot there for you. Wow, that was. Thank you so much for that. I know that was impromptu, and that's what I like. But it sounded really good.
Thank you.
Now, which is that your favorite saxophone?
This one, I don't know how. This is my alto, and I have my tenor over here in the corner, my soprano, flute, and clarinet over there. All my studio stuff is that direction. The other side of the computer. So,
Okay.
it looks like an office behind me, but it's far more.
The other side.
Yeah, far more technical.
The other creative side is over there behind us.
Yeah, but this alto I've had since I was 15 years old. It's a Selmer Mark 6, and I've played a bunch. I have other altos, but it was funny because these are now considered like the great vintage instruments.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me feel terrible because when I was a kid in high school, they were the vintage instruments. They were the new instruments. And the Selmer alto, all of Selmer soprano and baritone and tenor and everything. And so I had a Majestic, going into high school, and my band teacher said, you're pretty good. I can tell you're serious about it. You should get a good instrument. And I said, okay. And so he wrote down. He said, okay, you need to go to the store and you need to get he wrote down the name and the pipe, the model. And so I went to the store and I said, okay, I'd like to buy a Selmer Mark VI, Roman numerals, the Mark 6, the Mark VI, please. And so he literally, nowadays you go and you try 1,000 horns before you even buying it. But he just kind of handed me this horn and said, there you go, kid. See you later, guy. And yeah. And so I gave him the $400 that I borrowed from my dad.
Wow.
Now they're a lot more, obviously. And paid my dad back $20 a month, so it was paid off. And it's the horn I it's not only the horn I play now, but it's a really good, it's like everything else, just because it's a particular brand or type or whatever. Not every single one. They were all handmade. Mm-hmm. So some are way better than others. And I got lucky. It's a really great one, and it's really open. And plus, it's I've been playing it for let's say I bought it when I was 15, so I've been playing it for 9 years.
So that's right. So yeah, it still sounds good, Eric. Still sounds good. It's in good shape. It sounds good. It looks good.
Yeah.
So now, how many saxophones do you have in your collection?
Well, I have 5 or 6 altos, and it's the only one tenor, only one soprano. Wow. I have a couple of flutes. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of clarinets that gather a lot of dust.
Now, I know there has been some issues that some artists have when they're traveling with the instruments and the airport and everything. Have you had any terrible? Really? Your face just told it all. You're like, yeah. I'm no different.
Well, I travel a lot. Yeah. And so, I've got my little system where I can carry my horns on the plane, and with the tenor, it's a little bit bigger, so it's kind of in the gray area a bit. But never with my alto have I actually had to check it. I was coming back from India, and we were at the counter, check-in counter, and the guy behind the counter sees my alto, and he says, "What's that?" And I said, "It's a saxophone." but obviously it's it's in a small case. It fits super easily. I can fit under my feet really if I had to, and which I have. And he says, "Oh, it's it's made of metal. It's never going to get through security. You better check it right now." And I said, "Really?" And right behind me was a news guy, and and he had this big camera, like big handheld video camera that you hold in your shoulder. And I said, I turned around, I pointed at that, and I said, I'm pretty sure that camera's not made of wood. It was like twice as big as my horn. It wasn't even in a case. And he said, okay, well, you can try to go into security, but I'm telling you right now, you're gonna have to come back here because they're gonna not let you go through, and you're gonna miss your flight. Anyway, I said, I'll chance it. That's in security, no problem, like always. And so I think the guy was trying, he had his eye on my horn.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
One time, coming back from the Cape Town Jazz Festival in South Africa, the only time I've ever done this, even close, I was with Jeff Lorber, and he had caught the flu while we were in Cape Town. Deathly sick, And I said, well, why don't you delay your flight a day or two so you can sit in the hotel and just get a little bit better, because it's a long travel. He said, no, I just want to get back, if you don't mind helping me. And I said, oh, of course. So, he's really sick. And we go through security. I'm carrying his bags. Well, we get to get through security to the gate, and we're there about an hour and a half early. And I'm looking around. I'm going, well, where's my alto? I don't see my alto. Suddenly I realized I left it in security. So I turned back around. This is Cape Town, South Africa. I turned back around, and there's a million people, and I don't see my horn anywhere. I go back to the gate where I was, and they're shaking their heads. And for about 20 seconds, I'm in a panic.
Sure.
What am I going to do? I can't leave. So I look over, and there's a security office with a sign security on top. And inside the office is a guy smirking at me, and my alto is on his desk. And I run over there, and I grab the thing off my desk like I had lost my 4-month-old infant. I just
Sure.
And he said, hey, I would have paged you, but your name's not on the case. And I realized that, oh, you know what? You're right. This thing is never not by my side. So my carry-ons that are kind of, that go through, that are away from me, I have IDs on, but I realized,
not
right, there's no name. So now I've got, I corrected that situation. But that was an interesting.
Well, lesson learned. Put your name on it.
Horn.
Wow, that's a disaster that could have been a terrible, terrible disaster. But it's just amazing. I just don't understand how you artists are having such a hard time in the airport, with your instruments that are, that's your livelihood right there. And you would think that the airlines get it, but now they're finally easing up on some of their rules and restrictions and everything.
Well, yeah. What's interesting is that over the years, the airlines have come up with various easing of restrictions, but the airlines are not TSA. TSA is separate. So
that's true.
You hear about all these, making it easier for traveling with instruments and things. That's not TSA. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't travel that much, so every time I read a story about you guys having issues at the airport and everything, I feel for all of you. It's like, come on, they know they do this. It's not like, but that's why.
But then the payoff is that you get to have like Cinnabon.
Yeah.
So that's like,
they know how to smooth it over.
At the end of the end of the trail, you get your,
That's funny. You get Cinnabon. So now, okay. So let's see if we have anyone in the comment section. If they have any questions they would like to ask you, I'll open up the seat if anyone's brave enough to pop in. Jas, you have any questions for Mr. Marienthal while we have him here?
Double. I'm going to have a whole bunch of them, but I'm not going to be a pig about it and take all the time. But, forget my ignorance here, but what did you learn your music theory, and do you have perfect pitch?
Clearly, I do not have perfect pitch.
You could have fooled me.
Oh, thanks. It's interesting though. I mean, you work on your relative pitch. Sometimes perfect pitch can be a curse. If you're for all kinds of reasons. But when you play an instrument so much, I've been playing this horn for for 40 odd years.
Wow.
So when I'm looking for a B, I know that when I play that note, I know the sound of that note. I know exactly what it's going to sound like. You know, so I can hear it in my head. So when I want to improvise something, nothing doesn't. Yeah, I know what all that stuff is going to sound like because I've played all those notes so many thousands and thousands of times, and so to have, there's no way you could, it's like you take a step you walk on the beach every morning, for 40 years. After a while, your body's going to know exactly what that first step in the sand is going to feel like because you've done it, every day for 40 years. Same thing. That's just part of playing where you just, you know what it feels like. It's like when you first put a trumpet to your mouth, you first put a bow to a string on a violin. It feels very, awkward. Same thing when you put a reed. The reed vibrates. So people start playing a reed instrument, and it feels like, your mouth goes like, it's all tingly.
It's not supposed to do that.
After a while, you don't even, after a short while, you don't even notice that because, you just know that that's going to happen.
I see. And it sounds like you favor the alto too. You have a lot more altos than you do tenors, but the tone you're getting out of your alto is really kind of deep and warm. It almost sounds tenory.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's again, my little speaker here isn't exactly be flattering, but yeah, it's important, in my ArtistWorks school.
Here we go, everyone.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on there.
Another plug, everyone.
Fully.
ArtistWorks.com.
Well, besides the record, I'm not talking about the
now
record.
Now we're talking about the CD.
I cannot wait to get the record. Yeah.
The whole point of playing is to open up your sound, allow the reed to vibrate, and not get like to get the most sound you can get. So not just on alto, but everything.
Sure.
Now,
so go ahead,
Eric. Do you sing?
Thank goodness not in public. That's me.
So you don't sing? You don't sing? Okay. All right. I don't know why. I kind of pictured you like you could.
I do sing, but never in any kind of public forum.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to.
So we won't hear like a little solo something on one of your songs or anything like that.
Yeah, no, Rick Braun, I'm not.
Okay. I know. Boomy here says, "Come on, Eric, sing." That's great.
No.
I was all like, what?
Yeah.
I was all getting ready for it. It's like, yeah, he's going to sing.
That'd be a little, that would not be pretty. That would not end well.
Wow. That is, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, tell me a little bit more about the attraction to trumpet back then. Do you think that was sort of a period thing, or why trumpet?
A moment.
I was 9 years old. I think it was like that. The trumpet was a manly instrument. I want to play a manly instrument. Trombone was a little too much. So I must have seen trumpet being played at a ball game or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there other musicians in your family, like parents or siblings or anything? No, really?
No, not a single one. No, I was the only one who ever played any instrument. Yeah. My great aunt, I heard, played some piano, a very, very long time ago. But no, nobody plays anything at all.
Wow, that's interesting. That you don't come from the background of at least a singer or something like that. But wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Into it like that. And didn't turn away from it either. So, are you going to NAMM?
I generally do. Yeah. I endorse a lot of. I endorse these horns and mouthpieces and the reeds and the ligatures and the microphones, and I have a lot of endorsed products. So I do go and say hi to. A lot of times I'll play for the reed company or the instrument company. Well, every year, may as well say that. Yeah. Van Dorn Reeds puts on a Vando Jam, Vando Jam session in the Hilton Hotel right next to the convention center. And for every year for the past 8 years, I host the jam session. And for the first set, we actually perform, and then we have people come up and play. 30, 40 people come up and play.
Wow.
It's a hoot. It's always a Wednesday night prior to the first day of opening.
Oh, so you're the pre party.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You're the pre-party. You got to have the other badge to get into that one.
No, on the contrary, this one requires no badge. This is before the actual event.
Oh, that's right, because it's at the Sheraton.
Because it's on Wednesday.
It's at the Hilton, so which is right next to the convention center. So no.
Also, anyone can crash the party.
Cool.
You can way crash the party.
Oh, well, I think I'm crashing a party this year, Jess.
Let's go. You and me, baby. Let's go.
I think I'm crashing a party this year. Well, gosh, anyone else have any other questions for Mr. Marienthal before we let him go? And I appreciate you being here, Eric. I really do. We've just been pushing it out on the Twitter feed and everything. And I officially want to invite you back to the Jazz Lounge, but I know it has to be definitely after December because you'll be nowhere to be found. You'll be in Asia somewhere.
To a dodo bird here pretty soon.
I'll definitely hit you up after the new year and just catch up with you and see how everything went for you and everything. But I just can't thank you enough for being here in the Jazz Lounge and everyone here. And you too, Jazz. You have any other questions for him?
Thank you so much. I do have one more, and that was has Bridges officially released already then on Amazon iTunes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been out for about a month now.
Oh, good stuff. Thank you for clarifying. I'm so sorry I missed Friday. I didn't even know just because I live under a rock.
Oh man, yeah, it was great. We were sold out. And,
I'm sure.
That's a great venue, Spaghettini. They both are, I'm sure, but the one in Seal Beach I'm so familiar with, and it's just a very homey atmosphere, and it sounds good in there. And they, like I said, that everybody from Carrie Hardwick on and
Q
and Laura Q, Laura, everybody take care of the musicians so nicely that that it just feels really good to play, and people feel that from us. And it's just one of those intangibles. My family's in the restaurant business, so you can do everything and you can work like mad to put things together. But how do you make a place feel good? Is it the people? Is it the hostess? Is it the front door? Is it the food? Is it the what? And it's a crazy intangible, which is why so many places close. I mean, most places.
I think they hit it on all levels, like you said, from the moment you walk into the door, the wait staff, the owners, the music, and then the people that they draw. We all feed off of that energy, and Spaghettini to me just doesn't get any better than that. So they pull in stellar artists and everything. I love their Sunday brunch. Been there many, many times, and so yeah, you can't go wrong at Spaghettini. But so once again, let's let everyone know show them your ArtistWorks.com.
ArtistWorks.com.
Here we go.
Come on. In fact, there may be a promo. Go on the website. There may be a promo now, but all kinds of cool.
We'll put it in the comment section again.
Yeah, and that's going to translate to other instruments too, isn't it? All the content there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have a guitar student, and I have this saxophone related, but there's a lot of improv. It's a ton of harmony and improv lessons there. And plus, you not only can you send as a student a video to me that go over one of the lessons, but there's a session where people can just video anything. I had a guitar player send me a tune yesterday where they wanted me to hear what they were doing and critique it.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'd be honored to sit at your feet for any amount of time I could.
I love that idea.
Absolutely.
That's very, very cool. It's fun.
And then show them the CD again.
What CD? Oh, this one.
The one that Chuck Loeb did. He invited you to come play on.
Wait a second. There
we go.
How do I? Okay,
that's the way it looks right there, everyone. Fingers and all. Nice.
Eric, do you do quite a bit of session work?
Do I?
Yeah, still. I mean, do you have any time for that kind of nonsense?
Yeah, I do. I mean, actually, I just put on a big movie last week. It's called The Big Short. It comes out at Christmas.
Oh man.
With Brad Pitt and Steve Carell, Christian Bale, and one of the big star. And I got some solos on it and everything. But it's
cool.
It's called The Big Short. It's like this major.
The Big Short.
Short. Yeah, it's about the it's about the crash of the of the housing industry, the banking industry.
I see.
In 2008. Yeah, it's a big movie. So it was very fun.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, you'll be hearing a lot more of it. Yeah.
Were you not allowed to talk about it, or?
Oh no, you can definitely talk about it. But it'll be hitting the promo, I'm sure, very, very soon. I think it comes out on December 23rd or so.
So well, now I can't let you leave. How did that come about? Whatever you got planned after this,
this could go on and on. Yeah.
How did this come about?
Well, besides making records, I'm a studio musician. That's what I really do, and so a lot of what I do right here in my own studio.
I see.
A lot of this record here. Made. In fact, I even teach a lot of my lessons right here.
There.
And I do some stuff for the Disney Channel, and it's we do it live and we record. I record all my woodwind parts here, and the producer on the other end, all the music is sent to me, and I print it out and I play it, and it's all done on the line.
Just do it all.
Pardon?
I said you just do it all. Is there anything you don't do?
Yes.
You don't sing.
Yeah, I don't sing. Exactly.
Well, here in the comments, she posted the link to ArtistWorks, and then she wrote. She says she loves the ArtistWorks.com site.
Oh, cool! Thank you.
She's a designer herself, so that's big props right there.
Right on. Thank you.
So, yeah. So, wow. Well, Eric, thank you again for being here.
Yeah.
I truly appreciate it. And
thank you guys very much for having me.
I will send another formal invite after the first of the year to have you come back to the Jazz Lounge, because I know there's so much more about you that we do not know. And I'll pick your brain about that. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.
What a cool human being Eric Marienthal is, isn't he? Thank you for your subscription and your likes and your support. It really helps me to be able to bring this kind of content to you. And I've got a bunch more of these interviews stashed in my external drive that I need to unearth and edit and post, which I will do. So thank you so much for helping me do that. I've got to buy groceries somehow. I think it just made my to-do list to get to. Thanks for your help. Peach out, peach up. Talk to you next time.